The Zilla Dominion had ruled the galaxy for more than 1,000 years. Their fleets moved like steel storms, crushing every world that dared to resist them. But on this day, something strange happened, something the Dominion had never seen before. Admiral Zorak stood on the command bridge of his massive flagship, the Dread Sun. He watched the stars stretch across the dark void as his fleet prepared to invade another helpless system. Everything was calm. Everything was predictable. Everything was under Zilla control that then. The alarms screamed. A sudden distortion appeared in front of the fleet. Space itself twisted like rippling water. The Zilla officers froze. No known ship could bend space in such a way. What is that? Zorak demanded. His sensors officer struggled. Not a star. Not an asteroid. Not Dominion tech. Something is uncloaking. Admiral, the distortion grew larger, brighter, heavier. Zorak felt the air tighten as if the entire void was holding its breath. The Zilla fleet, once fearless, stopped moving. Every ship pointed its weapons forward. Then, with a sharp flash, a colossal warship emerged. It had no Zilla markings, nor alien insignia. Its hull was dark, silent, shaped for war with purpose and confidence. Its design was unfamiliar, but its presence was terrifying. The ship didn't broadcast identification. It didn't transmit warnings. It simply existed, in a way that made even the Zilla feel small. A whisper spread across the fleet. Is it human? Admiral Zorak's claws tightened. Humans were a forgotten species, weak, primitive, exiled from the galaxy long ago. But this ship, this giant, was nothing like the humans he remembered. Its engines glowed with a power beyond Dominion tech. Its hull looked as if it had survived 1,000 battles. And it had uncloaked right in their path. As if challenging them, Zorak felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Fear that the Zilla Dominion fleet held its formation. Weapons locked, scanners focused, but the mysterious human warship did not move. It floated in the void like a sleeping giant, silent, calm, almost peaceful. Yet every admiral and officer felt the same chilling truth. This ship was not afraid of them. Admiral Zorak stepped closer to the holographic display. "Open a channel," he ordered. "We demand identification." The comms officer nodded and broadcast the message. The sound echoed across the bridge, but no reply came. The human ship remained dark, quiet, unbothered. Zorak's second-in-command growled. "Maybe their systems are damaged." But Zorak shook his head. "No, that uncloaking maneuver took enormous power. They are choosing to ignore us." It felt insulting. The Dominion had conquered thousands of worlds, entire civilizations bowed to them. Yet this single ship stood like a wall in their path, refusing to even speak. Suddenly, the ship's hull lit up with thin, glowing lines like veins awakening. A deep hum vibrated across space. The Zilla fleet tightened their formation. Every captain held their breath. Energy surge. The sensors officer shouted. But no weapons detected. The mysterious warship emitted a pulse, slow, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. It wasn't an attack. It was a signal, a challenge. The pulse traveled through every Zilla ship. Their screens flickered. Their shields trembled. Their systems dimmed for a second before stabilizing. The Dominion fleet had never experienced anything like it. Zorak's voice was low. "That was a scan, a deep one. They just checked our entire fleet." The officers stared at him, terrified. Only one species had ever attempted such a bold move. Only one species scanned hostile fleets without fear. Humans, and if this was their ship, Zorak realized something terrible. Humanity was back and stronger than ever. Across the Zilla Dominion fleet, panic spread quietly like smoke. This human, ship silent, fearless, and impossibly advanced, had just scanned their entire armada without permission, without fear, and without consequences. Admiral Zorak felt pressure in his chest. He knew the Dominion had only two choices: retreat, or challenge the unknown. Zorak chose neither. "Target the vessel," he said coldly. "But hold fire." The crew obeyed, though their hands trembled. Thousands of Zilla weapons aligned with the massive human ship. Plasma cannons, disruptors, rail beams, every gun pointed at the silent intruder. The human ship did nothing. Then, it moved, not fast, not aggressively, just a simple shift like a giant turning its head. The Zilla ships reacted instantly, pulling back to avoid collision. But it wasn't moving to hit them. It was positioning itself directly between the Dominion fleet and the planet they planned to conquer. A shield, a guardian. Why defend that world? Zorok growled. It has no humans. Nothing human at all. The science officer swallowed. Sir, maybe they are not protecting the planet. Maybe they are blocking us. The idea hit the bridge like a shockwave. The human ship's engines glowed brighter now, but still no weapons appeared. Instead, small panels on its hull opened, releasing hundreds of tiny drones. They floated outward in perfect formation, surrounding the entire warship like a halo. What are those? A captain whispered through the fleet-wide channel. Unknown technology, the sensors officer replied. Not weapons, not shields. Something else. The drones rotated slowly, then projected a massive hologram into space. A human symbol, bright, clear, unmistakable. The Terran crest, the Zilla bridge, fell silent. Humanity, once weak and forgotten, was now declaring their presence openly, boldly. Without fear, Zorak felt the truth settle heavily. This is a warning. The giant hologram of the Terran crest floated in space like a shining beacon. Every Zilla captain stared at it with disbelief. No one had seen this symbol in centuries. Humanity had vanished from the galaxy long ago, silent, forgotten, unimportant. But now, their crest burned brighter than any star. Admiral Zorok gritted his teeth. What are they trying to say? That this is Terran space? Impossible. Humans left this region ages ago. Before anyone could respond, the hologram changed. A message began forming, lines of glowing text, written in Galactic Standard. The words appeared slowly, but their meaning hit like a blade. Turn back. The bridge fell silent. Even the engines of the Dominion flagship seemed to pause. That's it? Zorak snapped. A single warning. The science officer trembled. Admiral, humans never do anything without reason. If they say turn back, we should consider it. Zorak slammed his fist onto the console. We will not retreat from a single ship. Humans are extinct. Their technology was outdated. This ship is a trick, or a leftover relic. But deep down, Zorak didn't believe his own words. The human ship began to emit a soft hum, not aggressive, but powerful. The drones surrounding it tightened formation, creating a shimmering sphere around the warship. Energy crackled between them like lightning threading through clouds. A defensive stance, not attacking, not provoking, simply daring the Dominion to try. Across the fleet, captains whispered privately, why would one ship stand alone? What power is it hiding? Humans should not be alive. The fear grew. Then the message on the hologram changed again. New words formed, more forceful, more final. Last warning. Admiral Zorok stared at the message, his pride fighting his fear. If he stepped back now, the Dominion's legendary power would look weak. If he advanced, he might face the one enemy the galaxy had forgotten to fear. Admiral Zorak's claws dug into the armrest of his chair. The holographic words still burned in front of him. Last warning. The Dominion had faced countless enemies, crushed entire fleets, and conquered worlds. But this one human worshipper, single vessel, was now threatening to undo everything. Launch all drones, Zorak commanded. His voice was cold, but his eyes betrayed his uncertainty. The Dominion fleet roared to life as hundreds of small ships detached, ready to overwhelm the human ship. Zorak knew the odds were in his favor. He had the numbers. But something inside him whispered a warning. Something wasn't right. As the drones surged toward the human warship, the massive vessel did not react at all. It sat there, unmoving, a silent sentinel. The drones circled it, preparing to strike. The power of the entire Zilla fleet was now aimed at one target. Then, without warning, the human warship shifted. It wasn't fast. It wasn't sudden. But it was a movement so perfectly timed that it left the Dominion in shock. The warship's hull shimmered as if it had become part of the fabric of space itself. The drones began to fall apart, disintegrating in mid-air. As the warship absorbed the energy like a sponge, the Zillar fleet's weapons fired. But it was as though the human ship vanished, no shields, no visible defense. It simply moved through space with a grace that defied all logic. Dodging fire, deflecting attacks with precision. Zorak watched in horror. His fleet's drones, now useless, were vanishing into thin air. The human warship wasn't fighting back, it was dismantling everything the Zillar threw at it. Zorak's breath hitched. The truth was undeniable. Humanity had not only survived, had evolved, and now, they were a force beyond anything the Dominion had ever faced. "Stop the attack," Zorak ordered, his voice shaking. "We can't win this fight." The silence that followed the Admiral's command was deafening. Zorak's entire bridge crew sat frozen, their eyes glued to the screens. The human warship, now completely untouched, floated effortlessly in the vastness of space. It wasn't retreating, wasn't showing any sign of vulnerability. Instead, it radiated an undeniable powercom, unyielding. Like the calm before a storm, Zorak's heart pounded in his chest. What had gone wrong? The Zillar Dominion had conquered civilizations across the galaxy with overwhelming force. Their weapons unmatched by any known species. Yet now, they faced an unknown enemy whose power seemed boundless. "Admiral," the census officer spoke hesitantly. "The human warship is transmitting again." Zorak barely acknowledged the officer's words. He couldn't look away from the floating giant. The ship wasn't just powerful, it was something different. The Zillar had underestimated humanity. He had underestimated them. And now, it was too late. On the main screen, a new message appeared, this time in bold, clear letters. "This is your final chance. Turn back, or face the consequences." The message wasn't threatening, it was a promise, a calm warning that carried with it the weight of undeniable truth. The humans had returned, and they were no longer the primitive species the Zillar had once exiled. Zorak's mind raced. He had seen countless galaxies bend to the will of the Zillar, but this was different. The human warship wasn't just defending a planet. It wasn't just standing in their way. It was challenging them, daring them to bring their might to bear. His pride fought against his growing fear. He knew the Dominion's power was vast, but facing the human fleet felt like facing an unknown force, one that was not only equal, but possibly superior. "Retreat," Zorak ordered, but it was already too late. The human warship was no longer waiting. It moved forward, silently, powerfully, ready to make its mark on the galaxy once more.